Charlie Chaplin's act was rejected by executives because they thought it was too obscure for people to understand. Eventually, his ambition got him to become one of the biggest stars of the 20th century's silent film era. As many other known figures, he did not have an easy life before becoming a star. Born on 16 April 1889 in London, England, Charlie Chaplin worked with a children's dance troupe before making his mark on the big screen. His father, a notorious drinker, abandoned Chaplin and his mother and his older half-brother Sidney not long after Chaplin's birth. That left Chaplin and his brother in the hands of their mother. Chaplin's mother would later suffer severe mental issues and have to be committed to an asylum, was able to support her family for a few years. But in a performance that would introduce her youngest boy to the spotlight, Hannah inexplicably lost her voice in the middle of a show, prompting the production manager to push the 5-year-old Chaplin, whom he'd heard sing, onto the stage to replace her. Chaplin lit up the audience, wowing them with his natural presence and comedic angle. At one point, he even imitated his mother's cracking voice. Armed with his mother's love of the stage, Chaplin was determined to make it in show business himself, and in 1897, using his mother's contacts, landed with a clock dancing troupe named the 8 Lancashire Lads. It was a short stint and not a terribly profitable one, forcing the go-getter Chaplin to make ends meet any way he could. Eventually, other stage work did come his way. Chaplin made his acting debut as a page boy in a production of Sherlock Holmes. From there, he toured with a vaudeville outfit named Casey's Court Circus, and in 1908 teamed up with the Fred Carnot pantomime troupe, where Chaplin became one of its stars as the drunk in the comedic sketch A Night in an English Music Hall. With the Carnot troupe, Chaplin got his first taste of the United States, where he caught the eye of film producer Max Sennett, who signed Chaplin to a contract for $115 a week. Over the next year, Chaplin appeared in 35 movies, a lineup that included Tilly's Punctured Romance, film's first full-length comedy. In 1915, Chaplin left Sennett to join the S&A Company, which agreed to pay him $1,215 a week. It is with S&A that Chaplin, whom by this time had hired his brother Sidney to be his business manager, rose to stardom. Chaplin's first controversy occurred during World War I, when his loyalty to his native country was called into question as he lived in the United States. Many British citizens called him a coward and a slacker. Chaplin became equally famous for his life off-screen. His affairs with actresses who had roles in his movies were numerous. Some, however, ended better than others. Chaplin kept creating interesting and engaging films in the 1930s. In 1931, he released City Lights, a critical and commercial success that incorporated music Chaplin scored himself. More acclaim came with Modern Times, a biting commentary about the state of the world's economic and political infrastructures. The film, which did incorporate sound, was the result of an 18-month world tour Chaplin had taken between 1931 and 1932, a trip during which he'd witnessed severe economic angst and sharp rise in nationalism in Europe and elsewhere. Chaplin spoke even louder in The Great Dictator, which pointedly ridiculed the governments of Hitler and Mussolini. "I want to see the return of decency and kindness," Chaplin said around the time of the film's release. "I'm just a human being who wants to see this country a real democracy." Chaplin soon became a target of the right-wing conservatives. Representative John Rankin of Mississippi pushed for his deportation. In 1952, the Attorney General of the United States obliged when he announced that Chaplin, who was sailing to Britain on vacation, would not be permitted to return to the United States unless he could prove moral worth. The incensed Chaplin said goodbye to the United States and took up residence on a small farm in Corsiers-Rivet, Switzerland. He was allowed to return to the United States in 1972 to receive an Oscar for his services to film. Chaplin was then given a knighthood of the British Order by the Queen in 1975. He died in Switzerland, aged 88 from natural causes 3 years later. By the time of his death, Chaplin had fathered 12 children, 8 of those with his last wife, Ona O'Neill, the daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill, whom he had married in 1943. Charlie Chaplin achieved remarkable things during his life, and his motivational quote can be found in our usual quote of the day.